Welcome back to the channel. We do a Denver metro market update every Wednesday live. So be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you could be notified first of the latest that's happening in Denver metro market. Guys, we're going to do analytics, data. We're going to add economical factors and measurements of the market and how that impacts things into these videos. So there's going to be a little bit of variety every time. However, the one thing that we're going to always start with is going to be these data charts and reading those and looking at trends and being able to articulate what trends we're seeing and how they actually impact you. Today's video is going to be more specific to sellers. And as a seller, what you need to be aware of and why now is the time to be having conversations about selling your home. We're going to create that story through the trends and data that we're going to be getting into. Let's dive in real quick. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments. I would love to chat with you, would love to know where you're coming from. But ultimately, if you have any questions more specific about the Denver real estate metro market, I am all ears and would love to chat. So with that, let's get into our data. So we've got Denver metro, meaning the 7 major counties that make up the Denver metro. If I showed you a map, like it's pretty easy to see what cities and counties fall into Denver metro, but just know the greater Denver market, not just Denver, Colorado, but all the surrounding areas and suburbs. This is the data. And so before I get into like actually telling you as a seller why you should be having conversations right now about the market, I'm just going to go through data specifically, and then we'll tie that into you as a seller. So first things first, we finally have our first trend line. So we look at week to week, and we've got week 1 and week 2 in the books, and that is our first little line showing us what we're seeing trend-wise in the market. As far as average sales price, what's so interesting about this line, as you can see, even in the hottest years of real estate in history, 2020 and 2022, they started with the downline trend, whereas price-wise, we're on an upward trend, which is super, super interesting. My expectation, or I should say, my guess is that we see a downtrend line for week 3, but we'll see. But as of now, right off the gates for sellers, you really, really like to see prices going up, both on medium sales price and average sales price. So that was quite interesting. As far as new listings count, you tend to see, gosh, even if we look at 2016, 2017, the same thing. Literally every year since 2016, you see new listing count go up. However, in 2025, it has gone up substantially compared to other years. I had a note card for you guys showing you the exact data. And there it is. My daughter came in. She's 2 years old and was playing with it. But if we look at new listings, so that I don't have to sift through this for you, we've got 440 new listings week 1, and then we jumped up to 989 listings in week 2. That's a lot of inventory. As you can see, that is a substantial increase in new listings compared to previous years. I'm really keeping my eye on this, and I hope it doesn't continue this sharp of a trend, and hopefully we see it kind of even out, which is likely to happen. You can see in these red lines, there's these big shifts of inventory. I mean, you're looking at 500 new listings, 600 new listings in week 14 of last year. And then it tapered off. Same thing here and same thing here. I'm guessing this kind of flattens out going into week 3, but we'll see. Definitely something to keep an eye on, because if you've been following my videos, we don't want inventory going up a substantial amount, because that will significantly impact the appreciation that will occur in this market. Under contracts by week, this is good. I like this data line. We're not seeing any change in trends. We're not seeing any significant movement. However, we want to see under contracts continue to go up, which they trend to do. That's a funny play on words. They tend to do. I like that. Pat myself on the back. But we want to see the market activity increase, especially if we're getting an increase in new listings. We want those new listings going under contract so we can kind of keep a balance ratio in between supply and demand. So for under contracts, we were at 354 last week, 592 this week. And we're down a little bit year over year from this red line, but overall healthy pattern here, which we love to see. Sold count, also kind of a weird one. You saw a decline in 2020, 2022, but really 21, 23, 25, you kind of see an increase here. And it typically increases all the way until about mid-year and then kind of starts to fall. The first trend line right off the gate, number of sold homes fell from 646 to 457. So we have a little bit of a decrease, but again, my guess is this kind of rebounds and we start to see that upward trend. Listing days on market, a little higher than 2024, this red line, but we're trending down. That's great and expected. Clearly, as you see every year, even if we go to 2021, 22, you typically enter the year with high days on market and then it drops. So healthy patterns there. Now, we're going to get into some charts that I typically don't show on these lives or haven't in the past, but I think they're very, very important specifically to sellers, but even buyers too. And what we're going to be looking at is, let's go here to sold price versus original price. So the original price of a listing versus the sales price. Now we've got the red line, which is showing how many, the percentage of homes that sold below their original price. Green line is how many sold above the original price. And then the orange yellowish line, no, that's orange. Come on, who am I kidding? Is the sales price equaled the original listing price. And this is where we start to get into painting a picture for you sellers as to why you can't wait any longer to have conversations about listing your home. More to come on that, but because we're on this chart, I want to show you specifically, as you can see, the start of 2024, and actually this starts in week 5, but this is all of week 20 or all of year 2024. And you see the amount of homes that are selling below their original listing price is going to decrease all the way until typically about April to June-ish. And then you're going to see the market kind of plateau and then decrease in terms of market activity. And even though this is showing an increase, well, that correlates to a decrease in market activity, because the lower market activity you have, or I should say, the less market activity you have, the less competition and the less, and there's going to be less homes selling for above original price, therefore more homes selling below original listing price. So sellers, this is your window right here to sell for the most amount of money possible. The lower this is, the better, because you're going to see the green line increase. And this is the percentage of homes selling above their original listing price. And you start to see that kind of decline as this red line inclines. And so this is your window. It's called the spring market. It's selling season. Let's go. Showings typically is going to do the same thing. Let me find my chart here. So you're going to see more showings occur in springtime. You see this 0 right here. Here, let me see if I could zoom in on this. Yeah, there we go for you guys in the back. 0 to week 5 to week 10, 15, 20, 25. You start to see this increase in showings. Now, over the last couple of years, there's not a tremendous amount of showings to be had. So you're not going to see like significant increase of how many showings are occurring on average per listing per week, but you'll see an increase in that number and then you'll start to see the decrease. And it's a little less of noticeable on this chart, but you can see your time to sell is coming. So don't wait to have these conversations. In all reality, here's the thing. If you're thinking about selling your home this year, well, if you have a conversation now, chances are by the time you get the meeting with your realtor, and my guess is you're probably going to buy a new home. So we need to get you pre-approved and get your house ready for sale. Like before you go through all of that kind of initial process before putting a sign in your yard, it's probably going to take somewhere between like, I don't know, 3 to 6 weeks ish, 3 being on the shorter side. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're like, I need to sell right now, we've done it in 4 days, 3 days where we meet with you and then we put your house on the market. But generally speaking, it's going to take, the average person, and there's no statistics. I'm not pulling from a study here, just my overall observation of the market. It's going to take you, I don't know, like you said, 3 to 6 weeks before you're actually having a sign in the yard and starting showings. Well, if you do that, then we're already in like mid-February, beginning of March. And then like for those of you who decide to wait to have those conversations until March, like there's a chance you miss the boat. So the window is closing, even though we're just entering it. Like you need to have those conversations now in regard to selling your house. Now, if this data hasn't shown you that enough, let's just go here. I don't mean to scare you with this one, but like, look, if you go and say, okay, I'm going to sell, and you don't take me up on this suggestion, and you say, yeah, like I get it, but like we got some time, and then you end up calling, hopefully me or your realtor. And by the way, guys, I'm licensed in Denver. I have been for 10 years. I'm one of the top producing agents in my company, actually the top 3 individual and number of homes sold last year. And I don't say that to brag. I just say because like it's one thing to be good at YouTube, but it's another thing to actually be good at real estate. And I'm actually good at real estate. And so would love to help you guys and serve you as much as I love doing these videos. I love helping you with your real estate needs. My number, 303-332-1108. Feel free to reach out, connect with me on social media below, or just schedule a call on my YouTube channel. Let's get back to this. If you're a seller considering waiting to have these conversations, and then you have the conversation in like March, and then it takes you to like end of April to finally list your home, like you're still in good territory, but relatively speaking, like, let's even say you have a conversation in like April or May, like you're going to miss some of the boat, or you look at this and you're like, yeah, we really want to sell, but like, I'm not in a rush. And then you call me in like September, like, no, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Here's the reason. I would rather you sell up here. This is the average sales price per week. I'd rather you sell up here than down here. Okay. This red line is the same exact year, right? And like, this isn't hard and fast. There's so many variables to this, but relative to this trend line in week 52, the last week of the year, the average close price was $608,000. Whereas on the peak, it's over $100,000 more. And these pricing trends tend to play out every year to where you're going to be able to maximize. And this is the plateau of the market I've talked about over and over and over again, usually somewhere around June-ish. But really the market starts tapering off in, I would say like April, May. And that's why the average close price in June is actually reflective of the market in May. But you see the peak of the market. And even if you sold this same year, even months later, like you're down on price, right? And so now is the time to start having these conversations, because you're probably going to be listing somewhere here. And then these prices are reflective of those who list here. Right? These prices are reflective of somebody who lists here, etc. Does that all make sense? So like now's the time, guys. You see all of these charts fairly similar to each other. The amount of days it takes for you to sell your home, like all-time high in January and December. And then again, like right in here is the most competitive time in the market. So like now is the time to start having these conversations in order to make sure you sell for the most amount of money possible. Now, going back to market data, something very, very promising in the Denver metro area, we had, where is it? Here we go. We had 17,000 showings week 1. We're already up to 21,000 in week 2. This is excellent. And we're on an upward trend in the amount of showings on average per listing. Now, sellers, very, very, very important stat here. And the reason being is because we could look at days on market all day long, but ultimately what we want to look at is how many showings on average can you expect per week? Yes, we have access to this data. I talk to my sellers about it all day long. The reason being is, especially in a slower market, you want to have a sense of what can we expect here? Like, how do we know after we go on market, like we're even relatively close in regard to pricing properly per the condition of your home, per the market? How do you measure that? Well, you measure it by what is the average number of showings per listing per week. And if you're above that, awesome. If you're right at that, awesome. If you're below that, over a consistent period of time, meaning a couple weeks, like that's where we kind of gauge, hey, are we priced right? Did we miss the market? What adjustments do we need to make? Not only that, but it helps you in knowing, okay, on average, we should be expecting this many showings per week. And then we also have data that says how many showings per contract. And I would say this is more accurate than days on market, because then we know, okay, here's how many showings per week we should expect. And about this many showings typically occur before a house goes under contract. And that really gives us the metrics in which we ought to consider when making any adjustments to price and or your listing. The last thing you want to do is make a price reduction too fast or not fast enough. And this is how you do that, is you track these. Other data is important in this, but those are the most important. I talk to my sellers about those all day long. And then that gives us just a good baseline of like, how do you know, is it 6 showings before you really start to kind of consider things? Or is it 12? Or is it 20? Or is it 30? The showings per contract data here, really through, May of 24 to December was like 26 to 30 showings that it took on average before a listing went under contract. Now, I think this data set is a little, what's the word we're looking for? Excessive. I don't think it actually takes on average 30 days, but like, what's most important is just the trend line. And so the trend line saying, hey, it's taking more showings than normal, right? Over the last how many ever years, for a buyer to make a decision on going under contract. And so knowing this, I could go into it and say, I'm looking at this data set along with a couple other data sets and coming to a conclusion of, okay, it's probably going to take about this many showings before we can come to a conclusion as to whether we're priced proper to the market and or whether or not we should make any adjustments. And then I can give you real good, sound, solid advice. So make sure to ask your realtors about this. They should have access to the data. And this is really going to set you up for success. Guys, with that, I think we're all wrapped up with today's video. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments. We'll get back to you later. Obviously, I'm not seeing anything right this second, but would of course jump back in here and get to your questions at a later date. I hope you guys find this information valuable. A like, a subscribe, a share to somebody who you think this information would be valuable to would go a very, very long way, would be very greatly appreciated. We want to grow this channel. I would love to get to a point where I can do more videos with a higher level of production and spend more time giving you guys the insights that are very, very impactful and necessary for you to make smart real estate decisions. And I can't do that without your support. So please make sure to subscribe. We go live every Wednesday for a Denver metro market update. We'll go live Tuesday for a Brighton, Colorado market update. And then we'll have just whether it's a neighborhood tour or educational content every Friday. And so we're really trying to ramp things up. And also I'm considering doing one additional live video every month or every week, in regard to a specific market update, whether that be a neighborhood, whether that be a city, a county, a specific geographic area, whatever that might look like. I'm open to recommendations, but I love your feedback from the community so that we're not doing videos that aren't really relevant to you guys. So be sure to comment, engage. I'm building a community here. I can't wait to look back at these videos and, see the amount of views compared to where we're at a year from now. So jump along the journey, and I can't wait to continually support you guys. As always, I'm here to support you. Reach out to me if you have any questions, 303-332-1108, or email me, patrick@coloradohomerealty.com, and looking forward to chat. Cheers.